Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today we are talking about the brand spanking new NYX Total Control Drop Foundation. This is a second impressions, which means I have worn it one other time, and I actually wore it yesterday. And I am going to get into what I thought about it yesterday before I actually do it today, because I feel like what happened yesterday was very important. This runs for $13.99 at Ulta. So it looks like they have 15 shades on the Ulta website, but I believe I heard that on the NYX website they actually have 24 shades. So I don't know if they're going to release all the other shades on Ulta later on, but this says from sheer to full, your ideal coverage is just drops away. Fine-tune this velvety matte finish with the included dropper. Simply adjust the number of drops until you create the look you're feeling today. Every review I've watched, people are counting the drops of foundation they use. Just do not do that, but use however much you need to get the coverage that you like to cover your entire face. And they also brought out a new foundation brush with this too, but I didn't pick that up just because I didn't feel like it was necessary. So you get 0.43 fluid ounces of product in here. That's kind of a problem for me. The standard amount of liquid foundation is 1 fluid ounce. You're not even getting half of that. So I did pick up 3 shades just to make sure I had a color match. So I picked up the shades Porcelain, Light Ivory, and Natural. Porcelain is extremely light. This is way too light for me. Like, if you decide to mix this in with the foundation, I feel like this would lighten a product. And then Light Ivory isn't even going to work for me at all. This is a very peachy pink tone. This almost looks like a corrector. I could see this working for someone that has a very, very fair, cool tone complexion. And then the shade Natural is just a little bit too dark for me. I could make this work on its own. It would just give me a little more color, but it has that really nice warm yellow undertone, and I actually find that my perfect match is mixing Natural with Porcelain, but I would like to find a shade that's more in the middle of these. This is a very watery, liquidy consistency, and I will show you guys that once I get into the demo part. It literally feels like water. Like, it's so thin, and a little bit does not go a long way with this foundation. I do feel like it starts out very, very, very sheer, but I could get a full coverage out of this, and I do have quite a bit to cover up around my ear area. I'm like breaking out so bad around my ears. Like, I feel like my body's trying to tell me something, but I'm just too stupid to figure it out. But a few days ago, I did start noticing that I do have some dry patches around my mouth area and on my forehead and a little bit on my nose. Yesterday, I had some serious issues with my forehead dryness, but I will say that once I did a couple of steps to correct that, it didn't look that bad, and throughout the day I didn't really notice it being a problem. I did see it up close. But another thing I want to mention with this foundation is that I expected where it's so watery and liquidy that a sponge would just absorb all the product and a brush would be the way to go. But it's actually more of a natural matte finish, so it's not a flat matte. I actually feel like your skin's natural radiance comes through, and I just feel like with the brush it completely got rid of that really pretty radiance that still shines through with this. It just looked really dry on the side that I used the brush. And also, if you have dry patches like me, then I just feel like this kind of irritates the dry patches and kind of makes them more flaky. And I also feel like it made it a little bit streaky. So I was actually very surprised that a Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge worked very, very well with this. So like I said, I have had some dry patches, and I decided to go in with an oil today instead of my regular moisturizer. So I've been using this Oil Essentials Neroli and Avocado Oil, and I don't see any dry patches right now. So I just want to go ahead and point that out. So if I see dry patches later on with the foundation, then it's the foundation emphasizing it. And I also sprayed some Rosewater facial spray on before I used the oil. This is the Reviva Labs Rosewater facial spray. I got this at TJ Maxx. And like I said, I do recommend a sponge, but I do want to show you guys what each tool looks like. But today I'm going to try it with the Morphe Y6 brush. So there's what that looks like. Here is what we are working with today. I did have this yesterday. So here is what the dropper looks like. So it's very easy to control. So there's what the consistency looks like. It is very, very runny. So that was the Natural shade. As you can see, it's way too dark for me. So I'm going to go in with Porcelain now and put several drops in there. Okay, so there's what the color looks like now. It's just a nice light yellow undertone shade. I like to put this on my face first instead of like just dipping the tool into the back of my hand, just because I feel like this just warms it up a little bit more and kind of starts the adhesion process. Like, it starts adhering to your skin. So I apply quite a bit because I do like the full coverage. I pack on the foundation, I know. So I feel like the one thing you need to keep in mind, if you want full coverage, you're gonna have to use a lot of product. And I feel like when I put it on my face first instead of dipping from the back of my hand, it spreads a lot better The coverage is better right off the bat. Yesterday, I believe I worked straight from the back of my hand, and I feel like I had to use so much product. So here is what one layer of foundation looks like. This is about a medium coverage right here. You can still see my blemishes peeking through back here. It doesn't feel super tacky, but it doesn't set completely. So you have a little leeway room to build up the coverage, and it's not going to cake up or anything. I feel like you could apply so many layers of this foundation and it would never look cakey. I could be wrong, but I'm gonna have to go back in and mix some more. So I'm just gonna do 19 drops. So today I'm wearing the foundation on its own and seeing how it wears by itself. Tomorrow I'm actually going to use it as a mixing product. So I'm actually going to mix it in with foundations and see how it affects the foundations, if it changes the color, if it changes the texture, consistency, blendability, all that jazz. I'm going to go ahead and put this on the side. I'm just kind of smearing it around. So now I'm going to go in with my Y6 brush and blend that out. So it's not really wanting to stick to my nose with this brush. I do see some redness coming through. So there's the side with the brush, and I definitely didn't use as much product. As you can see, there's a lot more left over. I can definitely see a difference in the finish. As you can see, this one is just a lot more radiant and luminous, and this side is just a lot more dry looking, and I just feel like there's a lot more redness showing through. Like, I feel like the side with the sponge just gave me better coverage right off the bat. I did have to use more product though, so that could be another reason. But I definitely do feel like the brush was a little bit faster. So I'm going to go back into this side, and I'm just going to use whatever's left over on the back of my hand and work from my hand since I've already got that base down, and start building this up. So as you can see, that automatically covered a lot better. But I've seen a lot of people use the Beauty Blender with this, and I just don't feel like the Beauty Blender is the best. Where it's rounded, I feel like that really does soak up a lot of the product. And where this is flat, I just feel like it sits on top instead. I mean, obviously, I did use a lot more product, so it's going to soak up a little bit. So there's that side, and that almost got me to full coverage. In person, I can't see that at all. You can see it a little bit better on camera because the lighting is just, it's like, it just makes everything look more visible. I think on this side, I think I'm just going to use a sponge for the second layer. I just don't really like how the brush applies it. Okay, that is looking a lot better. Okay, so there is the second layer. On this side, again, we have almost reached full coverage. If this isn't full coverage, then this is a very high medium coverage. So I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys a time. It is now 2:43, so we'll say 2:45 is when we got done. I'm gonna come back later on at the end of the day and show you guys how it's held up and everything. It looks really, really nice on the skin. It looks really natural, actually. This actually does feel very lightweight. This is the type of finish that actually sets to more of a powdery finish. Today, I'm gonna set one side of my face, and then I'm not gonna do anything to the other side. I'm just going to put blush and everything on top and show you guys that you actually can wear this foundation without powder. But the one thing I feel like you have to set is your under eye area. I can probably, I don't know if I can zoom you guys in to see, but can you guys see how it's creasing under there? That is not good. So I definitely feel like you can get away with not setting your entire face, but at least set the areas where you're prone to creasing, like around your mouth. Oh, I got a little finger spot on there. Okay, so I'm done with concealer. For this side of my face, I'm going to use the Perfect Finish HD powder from e.l.f. This is translucent. I did set under both of my eyes just because that would not end very well, but I'm not going to set my cheek area or my forehead on this side. Here is what each side looks like, powder versus no powder. So you can definitely tell that it's more mattified on this side with the powder. And this side, there's still a little bit of radiance, like just a little bit. So the side with no powder is applying nicely. I do notice a little bit more dragging than on the side with the powder. I feel like it glided a little bit better, but it's definitely working. I don't see it moving anything around, and it's not patchy or uneven or anything. The side without the powder is applying just as easily as the side with powder. So there's a side with no powder, and there's a side with powder. I actually feel like this side looks better. Okay, so it is now 3 o'clock, but I'm still going to use my 2:45 time. I will see you guys at the end of the night. Hey guys, so I'm back for my final check-in of the night. It is now 10:57, so we will say, well, focus on that. We'll say 11 o'clock. So it's been on for a little over 8 hours. So I am so extremely impressed with this foundation and how long-lasting it is on my skin. I honestly did not expect it to hold up this well, especially since I started noticing creasing almost as soon as I got done applying it, but everything has held up so extremely well. It doesn't look cakey, it doesn't look thick or heavy. It looks very lightweight and skin-like. It just looks super smooth and poreless and airbrushed. The number one thing I do notice is that there is a little bit of creasing under my eyes, but honestly, after I blended eyeshadow along the lower lash line and stuff, I felt like that got rid of it. I don't know if it's like it just buffed away the creases or what, but I do notice a little bit of creasing. That's the only issue I see. So I will say with using an oil, I do not see any dry patches. Everything is very smooth. I did not have any of the issues that I had with this foundation yesterday. I do not see a difference in the wear between the side with powder and the side without powder, but I could definitely see this working for all skin types with the exception of dry skin. But like I said, if you use an oil, then that may combat any issues that you could potentially have with this foundation. So tomorrow I will be back to play around with this foundation a little bit more and see how it works as a mixing product. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, so I will see you guys tomorrow. Hey guys, so it is now day 2 of my experiment. With this test, I am testing several factors. I'm trying to see if the foundation drops will not only change the consistency, the coverage, the wear, and the finish. I'm also trying to see if it will change the color of foundation. Right now it is 6:36, and I believe I applied everything this morning around 7:30, so we're going on 12 hours. So I actually wore 2 different foundations today. On this side of my face, I used the L'Oreal Infallible Total Cover Foundation, which I thought was a perfect foundation to use for this test. This is a thicker foundation. It is a little bit harder to blend out, I find, and also the coverage is like a medium coverage, so I would like for it to be a full coverage, and the shade is absolutely horrible. I got the shade 302 Creamy Natural, and it's just way too light and cool toned. So on this side, I use the Neutrogena Healthy Skin Liquid Foundation, which I love. This is a really nice satin glowy finish. It's like a medium buildable coverage. This is in the shade Nude 40. This is my summer shade, so this doesn't match me at all. So with this foundation, I'm trying to see if the drops will change the color, and that's basically all I care about. So I definitely feel like the drops change the color of both of the foundations to where they match me perfectly. So these foundations have completely different consistencies. The L'Oreal foundation is very thick. It's like a whipped cream texture, and then the Neutrogena foundation is a lot more liquidy, but it's like a thicker liquid. So I definitely do feel like the drops change the consistency of both of those to make them more liquidy. With the L'Oreal foundation, I definitely feel like I had a way better time blending this out. It was way easier and faster, and I think it was a pretty big improvement. And then as far as coverage goes, I do feel like the drops made each of the foundations closer to full coverage. I do see a couple of blemishes, not really anything major though. Like, it's definitely a step up for both of the foundations in my opinion. And then as far as finish goes, I do feel like the drops kind of mattified both of the foundations. So like I said, the drops are more of like a natural matte finish. So I definitely see that going on today with both sides. But I will say, as far as wear goes, I don't see an improvement in either sides. The L'Oreal Infallible foundation is a very, very long wearing formula. Like, I kind of feel like I'm seeing more of how the Neutrogena foundation wears on its own on this side than I do with how the foundation drops wear on their own. I see a lot more coming through over here on the Neutrogena side than I do on the L'Oreal one. And I also feel like on the L'Oreal side, my blush and bronzer and highlight is a little bit more intense. Not a whole lot really though, but it is a little more intense than the Neutrogena side. So yeah, I don't really feel like the drops really affected the wear of either of the foundations. So that's kind of weird because on its own, it's a very long wearing formula. So overall, I'm pretty shocked by how much I love these foundation drops. I heard a lot of bad reviews before I tried these, so I really didn't have very high expectations for them. But I do think I like this better on its own than mixed with other products, but I really like the wiggle room it has. I feel like you have a lot of freedom to do whatever you want with this product. So I think having something like this where you can mix it in and kind of customize your own color will come in handy for a lot of people. I'm kind of curious to see how these compare to the Cover FX custom drops. I actually haven't tried those. But yeah, if you've tried these, make sure you let me know how they work for you, what kind of skin you have. And if you do have these and don't like them, or if you are thinking about trying them, try the ways that I suggested. Just give these a shot because I think you guys are gonna be pleasantly surprised. So that is it for this 2-day experiment with the NYX Total Control Foundation Drops. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed the style of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out with me today. Thumbs up if you like this video, subscribe, follow me on my social media, all the links are below, and I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Mwah.